Meeting is called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
to the flag of the United States of America and to
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
I lost the meeting.
could I have roll call, please?
Trustee Cochrane?
Here.
Trustee Bear?
here.
Trustee Bettinger? I know you're there.
Unmute yourself.
Trustee Deal? Trustee Knudsen?
Here.
Trustee Pattison?
Here.
Mayor Stewart?
Here. We have a quorum and we can continue. Trustee Cochrane, are we able to communicate with her?
Were we talking to?
Ah, there we go.
I just-
Trustee Bettinger, I'm sorry.
Oh, she's muted.
There she is.
Here.
Great. Wonderful. We have everybody, at least that I can see, able to communicate, which is extremely helpful. The first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Items 8 through 11, which currently are in the committee reports section, really need to go to unfinished business. So with that one change, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
That change? Trustee Bear, with that change?
No, no change. Just a motion to approve as presented.
We have a second on that?
Yes, with your change, correct.
Okay. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Any discussion from the board? I am hearing nothing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We do need to have a roll call.
All right.
Trustee Cochrane?
Aye.
Trustee Bear?
Aye.
Trustee Bettinger?
Aye.
Trustee Deal? Trustee Knudsen?
Aye.
Trustee Pattison?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, that motion carries. Next item on the agenda is announcements. I have no announcements. Does any board member have an announcement? I am not hearing anything. We will move forward. Next item on the agenda is visitors and guests. This is the opportunity for visitors to address the board on a matter that is not on the agenda. You'll be allowed no more than 5 minutes. If you wish to speak, you must be recognized by the chair. State your name and address. The members of the public are calling in. I believe Ms. Ferguson can identify you by phone number. Is that correct, Ms. Ferguson?
That is correct. And as a reminder, if you wish to speak, you need, via telephone, you need to press *9, which will show your hand raised and that you would like to speak.
Okay. If anyone wishes to address the board on a matter that is not on the agenda, please go ahead and press *9, and Ms. Ferguson will recognize you. I am taking it that no one is raising their hand. We will move on. The next item is the consent agenda. We have 4 items on the consent agenda. The regular meeting minutes from March 10th. This is a second review and approval. There were changes that were approved by the board previously that are not reflected in the record. We have the regular meeting minutes from March 24th, the regular meeting minutes from April 14th, and we also have the liquor license renewal for Curiel LLC, DBA Rio Bravo. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion from the board?
I sent some changes to the March 24th minutes
Yes,
And-
please, go ahead.
and the April 14th minutes. They're all fairly minor. I sent them directly to Corinne. I'm not sure. I don't think they made it into the packet, but I don't know if we need to go through them now.
Are they typos or are they substantive changes?
They are substantive changes.
Well, this would be my suggestion. Any board member that wishes to can take anything that's on the consent agenda and take it off of the consent agenda. And when we take something off of the consent agenda, we can then open that up for discussion. So my suggestion would be if there are substantive changes, not just typos, but substantive changes, that we take those minutes off of the consent agenda and we'll just deal with them as the next item, and they can be opened up for discussion. So are there minutes that you, Trustee Patterson, or anyone else wishes to take off the consent agenda?
March 24th minutes and April 14th minutes.
Okay. We will take those off of the consent agenda, and that will then leave the April 14th on the consent agenda.
No, March 10th, Charles.
Okay, March 10th would remain on the consent agenda, is that correct? Okay. So March 10th will remain on the consent agenda, and the LLC liquor license renewal will remain on the consent agenda. Those two items are the items that you are voting on. We will need a roll call vote on the consent agenda on those two items, the March 10th minutes and the liquor license renewal for Curiel LLC, DBA Rio Bravo.
Trustee Cochrane,
Aye.
Trustee Bear,
Aye.
Trustee Bettinger, Trustee Bettinger, you're on. Oh. Trustee Bettinger,
Aye.
Trustee Knudsen,
Aye.
Trustee Patterson,
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. So let's deal with the two items that are off of the consent agenda, the March 24th minutes and the April 14th minutes. Let's start with the March 24th minutes. Trustee Patterson.
On the committee reports for March 24th was included, it said that there was nothing to report, but in my notes, the Finance and Personnel Committee reported that the bond issue had been scheduled for bids but was postponed. And the Tree Board reported that they met via Zoom and provided more information about their virtual Arbor Day celebration.
Okay. Any other potential changes to the March 24th minutes from any board member? Why don't you go ahead and just make a motion to approve the minutes with those two changes, Trustee Patterson?
I move that we approve the March 24th minutes with the addition of the Finance and Personnel and Tree Board Committee reports.
You have a second on that.
Second.
Any discussion from the board? Anything from the public? Hearing nothing, we'll need a roll call vote on that.
Trustee Cochrane,
Aye.
Trustee Bear,
Aye.
Trustee Bettinger, Trustee Bettinger,
You remain muted, Trustee Bettinger.
Aye.
Thank you.
Trustee Knudsen,
Aye.
Okay. That motion carries. And we're now dealing with the April 14th minutes. Trustee Patterson, would you like to address that?
In the April 14th minutes, in the police report, Chief Ferguson recommended that a member of the Public Safety Committee serve as a panel member for judge selection, and that wasn't included in the minutes. And during the Government Affairs and Public Safety Committee report, Chief Ferguson reported that the discussion with the local veterinarian is on hold.
Okay. Anything else that any board member sees in regard to the April 14th minutes? I am not hearing anything. Trustee Patterson, make a formal motion to approve the minutes with those two changes.
I move that we approve the April 14th minutes with the changes to the police report and the Government Affairs and Public Safety Committee report.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We'll need a roll call.
Trustee Bachran,
Aye.
Trustee Bear,
Aye.
Trustee Bettinger,
Aye.
Trustee Bachran,
Aye.
Trustee Knudsen,
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. And we will move on to the mayor's report. Yesterday, as I'm sure most of you know, the state transitioned to the Safer at Home order, transitioned from the stay at home order to the Safer at Home order. I did today review both the governor's executive order and the 35-page or 34-page public health order, which was issued by the Colorado Department of Health. Quite frankly, in my opinion, the orders do a nice job of trying to balance out getting the economy going again and public safety. My suggestion to the public and also to members of the board is take a look at the Colorado Health Department website. That's an extremely informative website. The Delta County website is also very informative. And the public health order is there on the Colorado Department of Health website. And that's extremely helpful in terms of the detail, in terms of what people can do and not do, and when they can do it, when they can't do that. So that is my suggestion, to take a look at those websites. That is all that I have to report on. We can move forward to staff reports. Ms. Ferguson.
Yeah. Apologies. To update as far as the Delta County positive test reporting, to date, there are 34 cases that have reported positive coronavirus responses. Of that 34, 18 are actual positive tests. 16 of those are people who are in close contact and showed symptoms. The county and CDPHE has stated that they anticipate that we'll begin to see a spike in numbers, not necessarily because more people are becoming ill, but because CDPHE has modified their testing parameters, and they are now testing people that are asymptomatic, where previously they were not. So that will change the rate of positive tests for Delta County. 267 tests have been performed at the hospital, and 24 tests have been performed at the Delta County Health Department. I am working on a reopen policy to implement all of the Safer at Home regulations. Currently, we are in the process of creating the clear shields that you've seen in the grocery stores that will be installed in the front office and at the police department door, and implementing other things such as the 6 feet separation for people as they enter the building, providing a one-way entry and exit into the building through the front doors and exit out the back doors, and will only allow one customer or community member in at the front desk at a time in order to maintain the distancing requirements. I initially anticipated reopening town hall partially on Monday, May 4th, but I do anticipate delaying that a little bit longer. Other municipalities in the county and the county itself are open as of yesterday or opening over this next week. I'm working with Open Media to update our Zoom meeting subscription as well as our live stream meeting options. Open.media is recognized by the Freedom of Information Coalition, and they do provide Zoom membership as well as live streaming of meetings directly to our website. It's $6,000 a year, but for communities under 5,000 people, they do a $6,000 a year grant. So it's ultimately doesn't cost the town anything to do that. So the board's aware when we begin meeting in person again, hopefully our next meeting, we are planning to start discussions about scheduling work sessions to include some budget training, budget to actual, communication, sunshine law, and other topics. And a reminder to those the candidates that were elected, and I'll remind the others, thank you for your willingness to serve the community, and that I will need your final financial contribution form and/or any committee reporting forms by May 8th. And I am asking if you have no financial contributions or expenditures that you please email stating so. And that's all I have.
Questions for Administrator Ferguson from members of the board? Not hearing anything. Questions for Administrator Ferguson from new board members or members of the public? Not hearing anything. Public Works, do you intend to do that report, or Mr. Loberg with us?
Mr. Loberg is not with us at the moment. He may be joining us a little bit later. There is a little bit of a water leak up near a water treatment plant that he was heading up to take a look at and see what needs to be taken care of. So he may be joining us later, but if there's any questions, I may be able to answer them.
Okay. Any Public Works questions that any board member would like to ask Administrator Ferguson? Yes, Trustee Bear.
A couple of things. I got some emails concerning the dust being generated at the where the Clark Street sewer project crossed 3rd Street. Was wondering if you could have Travis look into that and report back to me so I could pass some information along to the interested party. Somehow we could do some dust suppression. And secondly, what is the situation with that trailer full of junk out at the old sewer plant? That's all.
So I can give you a little bit of information as far as dust suppression. They have wet it down. Roop Excavating has wet it down and tamped it down a couple of times. Some of the dirt pile that's out there is the dirt that they're using still to remediate the alleyway, and they have been working on that. They began working on it yesterday, and that continues. Also, let me see here. As far as the trailer on at the sewer lagoon, that's actually, or the old sewer lagoon, that can be, the police chief can give you some information about that.
Thank you. So you'll have work ongoing at that crossing on 3rd Street so we can get that resolved?
Yes, they are working on it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Other questions for Administrator Ferguson regarding Public Works from members of the board?
I didn't hear any response on the junk trailer.
That'll come from the police department when he does his report.
Anything else for Administrator Ferguson regarding Public Works? For members of the board, from new members, from the public?
Yes, we have a hand up from Deborah Spiegel.
Yes, Ms. Spiegel, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to thank them for doing this street sweeping thing on my little street. And he started across the street, made it many passes, got through like half of the street, but never made it over to my side all the way. So I'm wondering if he's coming back.
Yes, they are continuing to work on side streets. They're actually, through the Public Works supervisor, they're putting together a full plan and program to implement to notify homeowners when they will be on the streets and on the side streets so that vehicles can be moved to allow them to better clear all the dust and debris all the way to the gutter or property lines.
Okay.
Anything else for Administrator Ferguson in regard to Public Works from any new board member of the public? Not hearing anything, we'll move on to the police report. Is Chief Ferguson with us?
I am.
Chief Ferguson.
Hello. So about the trailer that's over there at the old sewer plant, what it is somebody had came and dropped it off there, had left it there and pretty much abandoned it. We know whose it is. We were unable to find out or contact the owner of it at the time. Most tow companies or the tow companies that we generally use do not want to have anything to do with it because it is a trailer and they can't get anything out of it if they tow it and the owners never pick it up. We have found one out of Delta that are going to be contacted hopefully within the next week, week and a half after everything's done. You'll see it gone and out of there. More than likely, it is going to be charged to the town, unfortunately, because we won't be able to prove who actually dumped it there.
Anything else you'd like to report on, Chief Ferguson?
As soon as we find out who all our board is, we will go forward and contact them and see about setting up some interviews for the judge position that we are still looking for. So that's one of the things that we need to jump on as soon as we can and get involved in that. So that way we can hopefully get that judge seated before June. And that's all I have.
Questions for Chief Ferguson from members of the board? Yes, Trustee Bear.
Just as a comment on that trailer and ongoing activities at the sewer plants, the old sewer plant, perhaps the town could come up with a little sign that says no parking without permission or something to that effect, so people know it's just not free parking.
Absolutely. There's a hand up.
Trustee Patterson?
Yes.
Yes, regarding the trailer, rather than the town eating the cost to have it towed, could we just, if it's been abandoned, could we post that it's available and let anyone pick it up that wants to take a trailer away?
Unfortunately not. We could be held liable if there was $1 million diamond or something in there that was reported. We could actually be liable for that cost.
And we can't hold the owner responsible for the cost? I know we don't know that the owner certainly dumped it, but if we know who the owner is, wouldn't they be responsible for the cost?
We know who the owner is by word of mouth. It is not registered. It does not have license plates and it does not have a VIN because it's a trailer. So just through the grapevine, we know who the owner is. That's what makes it difficult on us charging them.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Chief Ferguson from members of the board? I'm not hearing anything. Any questions for Chief Ferguson from new members of the board or from the public?
We do have one hand up from the public
Okay.
from phone number 527-7329.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, this is Suzanne. That's kind of weird. Do you give out people's phone numbers and they also identify themselves? It's a little weird. Okay, so what's the policy, first of all, here? Are you like reading people's phone numbers out when you call on them in addition to letting them identify themselves, or do people get to keep that contact information private when they're on Zoom?
Well, right now we're actually taking questions for Chief Ferguson, but I can tell you.
Yes, I know, but Corinne just gave the public my phone number, and I was just wondering. I was a little alarmed about that. Okay, so the question I had for Chief Ferguson.
Ms. Watson, hang on a second. In terms of phone numbers, I think people do need to realize that the full phone number appears on the screen.
Yeah, okay.
So obviously,
I don't have
in the meeting
computers. So.
However, I do think that what Ms. Ferguson has attempted to do in the past is try to just identify people the last 4 digits. I think that probably is a good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so the question I have for Chief Ferguson is about the trailer. How come when there's other abandoned property like bicycles or other abandoned property, there can be sales or auctions on that? You know, there's abandoned property that the police departments routinely get rid of. So that's one question. And the other question is, why don't you wait till like the town free dump day and get rid of some of the things that way? And you know, if someone wanted to go out there and put a free sign on the thing, it might not be the town that put it up, but if anybody knows that if they went out there and just hauled it at their own risk, you know, why would the town be liable for that?
I'm going to jump in here a little bit because I think this really is a legal question that might be directed towards Mr. Nerlin, and it would be my anticipation that there will be some conversation between Ferguson and Mr. Nerlin in terms of how they can proceed. So I think that's where it really kind of rests. Yes. Mr.
Okay,
Nerlin.
that sounds fair. And I have one other question is, how does a billboard sign at the end of Grand Avenue and First Street square with our town sign code?
I'll have to look into that one. I haven't seen the billboard sign out there. It's
Okay,
on
it's
private
behind the food trailer.
If it's on private property, they have more or less restrictive than what we have out on the regular streets.
No, I mean, we have a sign code that business owners have to apply for permits and go through a process of a certain size sign before they can just put up any sign. And this specific billboard advertises an out-of-town business that is in competition with our in-town stores. And I was just wondering how that squares with our sign code.
I'll take a look.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Chief Ferguson from members of the public or new board members? Not hearing anything. We will move forward. Treasurer's report. Is Mr. King on the line, or is this something that Ms. Jones needs to handle?
I'm going to handle it.
We missed Bo Nerlin's comment about Suzanne's questions.
Mr. Nerlin, would you like to reply?
Yeah, sorry, I was raising my hand. I don't know if you saw me in the video matrix. Chief Ferguson and I didn't have a chance to connect, but certainly I'm happy to reach out to him to look at if there are some available options with respect to the mobile home trailer. And then two, just as a point of clarification, the comments on the staff reports should be directed to those matters that are presented by staff in their report.
Thank you, Mr. Nerlin. We will move forward with the treasurer's report. Is Mr. King with us, or is this something Ms. Jones will handle?
I'm going to handle it if that's all right with you, Mayor.
That would be fine, Ms. Jones. Go ahead.
All right, so we had a meeting earlier this afternoon, reviewed payroll, reviewed disbursements. We did close on the bond today. The money is in our account. They're going to pull it for the USDA payoff as of today, but not till Friday. But so that's all moving ahead fabulously. Tim Hintz and Mark did a fantastic job on that whole refinance, and I applaud them. And the audit is moving forward. I actually haven't had any questions so far this week, knock on wood. So that is going positively, and I think that's it, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Questions for Ms. Jones from members of the board? Yes, Trustee Bear.
Since the bonds have sold, what kind of interest rate did the town end up with?
I think the average was a 2.9 was the average. Oop, yeah.
Any other questions, Ms. Jones, from members of the board? Yes, Trustee Patterson.
I noticed that we have an account analysis and full budget update in the packet. Is now the appropriate time to discuss that?
Yeah, actually probably is.
Okay, so I just wanted to comment on that because it's extremely dense. It's a lot of information in there, and I'm wondering if there might be a way we could get a summary, maybe some narrative or some charts. I would love to see like a quarterly summary of where we are now versus last year, something along those lines. And I don't know if this takes a motion, but I wonder if the finance committee could work with staff on maybe considering some options on getting it in a presentation format that members of the board and members of the public might be able to review and understand a little more easily.
Trustee Knudsen?
That's what we've asked for from the auditor when we were going through some of the questions she had for the finance committee, is if they had templates or other examples from other towns that could help us simplify the budget we see, because I share your concern about the density. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments in regard to that issue? Yes, Administrator Ferguson.
Thank you. The only thing that I would add, just so that I just would really request that as we move forward and if any modifications are made to the way that Cindy presents the budget to actual and the account analysis, that we just make sure that it's very publicly done, because that pendulum tends to swing wide both directions. Previously, there used to be less information provided, and then the tone from some members of the board and the public was that we were suppressing information and not giving enough. So now we provide extensive amount of information, and we do hear that it can be a little confusing and too much. So I would just like to make sure that that process, and through the work sessions that we talked about, that it's a very public process and widely agreed upon and functional for Cindy to provide. And that is all.
Yes, Trustee Bear.
Yes, I was one of the ones that asked for that information in there. There's a lot of information there, but if you take your time and go through it, you'll get a pretty good idea of what's going on in the town and how the different funds are being distributed. So I appreciate it that way.
Any other comments? Yes, Trustee Bachman.
I would say too, if we could do a combination of summarizing materials and then leave the other stuff available for the public to pick it up. Those who are interested go dig through that stuff if they want, while the other people can look at the charts and the graphs and the summarized information and understand it.
Any other questions or comments from members of the board? Anything from the public related to this? Anything from new board members related to this? Okay. It does seem to me that it's a issue that the finance committee and staff can work on and perhaps bring some proposals back to the board at a later date in terms of what makes sense in terms of the amount of time it takes Ms. Jones to prepare the documents, and then also getting a balance between having a document that is understandable and also having a document or documents that have the detail that people want. So a bit of a balancing act, and perhaps that's an issue that the new board can sort through. Anything else in regard to the treasurer's report? Ms. Jones, anything else you'd like to add at this point?
I don't think so, Your Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Unless there is something else that someone would like to ask Ms. Jones in regard to the treasurer's report, we will move forward. I am not hearing anything. We'll move on to disbursements. I would entertain a motion to approve disbursements. Trustee Budinger or Knudsen?
Karen, do you want me to do that?
Well, we hear you, so you may be the
Okay.
one to do it.
I'll go for it then.
Okay, go.
Okay, thanks, Karen. I'd like to make a motion that we approve accounts payable in the amount of $18,745.76. Transfer to Summit of $50,000. Transfer to payroll of $19,480.93. Payroll taxes of $17,444.26. And finally, a payroll direct deposit of $19,480.93.
Second on that motion. We need a second.
Well, I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Bachman. Discussion from the board. Yes, Trustee Bear.
The roof excavating charge for $2,175, it says Clark Avenue. Is that a cleanup or what is that?
Trustee Knudsen?
We've asked Roop to be a little more clear on his invoices about exactly where those changes are, because that could be confused with other Clark Avenue project that we did quite a while ago. It's not that area, but we've asked for more clarification on those invoices from Roop.
Ms. Jones? Ms. Ferguson, either of you wish to comment on that issue?
I can just add to expound upon what Trustee Knudsen stated was that I did confer with Travis to make sure that the Clark Alley bill from Roop had nothing to do with our sewer project that also occurred on Clark Alley, and we did request better descriptions moving forward. I anticipated that Travis would be here this evening to answer that question because we anticipated the question, but unfortunately what I have received from Travis is that we have a pretty good sized leak on a spring line coming into our plant. So he won't be on this evening.
Okay, any other questions from members of the board regarding disbursements? Yes, Trustee Patterson.
There's a line item for Intermountain SWE. I just wanted to check on what that is.
That's the sweeper.
The sweeper that was just repaired?
It
Okay.
was parts to do the repair.
Parts for the repair for the sweeper. Okay. And the 2 payments to Southwestern Systems?
Engineering for the sewer, the culvert repair at 5th and North Fork, and also for a sewer plug, a storm drain sewer plug.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions regarding disbursements from members of the board? I am not hearing anything. Any questions or comments from new board members or members of the public regarding disbursements? I am not hearing anything. We have a motion and a second to approve disbursements. We'll need a roll call.
Trustee Bachman,
Aye.
Trustee Bear,
Aye.
Trustee Bettinger,
Aye.
Trustee Patterson,
Aye.
Trustee Knudsen.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. And we will move on to committee reports. Finance and Personnel, Trustee Bettinger and Knudsen.
Well, as usual, we have looked over disbursements with Cindy and our treasurer today, this afternoon. We used a Zoom meeting for that, and we plan on signing checks tomorrow morning. And we'll look into this dashboard and executive summary work. We still have a lot of work to do that are pending from previous meetings on personnel matters, the liaison committee, some of the provisions to protect employees that come forward. That has not dropped off our agenda. Thank you.
Trustee Budinger, anything to add?
Nothing except I read that bond thing for the last time yesterday.
Yes, that is a pretty good read. No question about that. Public Works, Trustee Bear.
We have not met with Public Works Committee this month yet, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Government, Trustee Patterson and Cochrane. Who would like to go first?
Nothing to report.
Okay. Tree Board, Trustee Cochrane.
We are having the Arbor Day celebration on May 1st. Time to be determined. We will let you know as soon as we understand what that's going to be. Thanks.
Okay. Space to Create, Trustee Cochrane.
Nothing to report.
Okay. We will move forward with unfinished business. Next item is recognition of outgoing board members. We have 3 board members that will be leaving. One may not be leaving for long, but we have 3 board members that technically are leaving. I will be leaving. Trustee Deal will be leaving, and Trustee Budinger is leaving, although it's possible that her departure will only last for a few minutes. I don't know. I won't be part of that decision. They have both been very diligent. They've been very reasonable. They have been civil. And I can tell you that both have been motivated by a desire to do what they believe was in the best interest of the town. And the bottom line is you can't ask for more than that. As all small towns, we need desperately volunteers. And those are 2 folks that have stepped up in a substantial way. And the community really does need to appreciate that. We have certificates of appreciation for both of them that are actually in the packet. I will make sure that they get signed, and I'm sure that Administrator Ferguson will make sure that they are received. It is my understanding that when we get back to in-person meetings, we will go ahead and formally appreciate all of the board members who have contributed to the town. As far as my 6 years on the board, it has been a tremendous learning experience. At times it's been a challenge, but it has been extremely rewarding. It has been a pleasure working with this board. This board has always been civil. I think you've always been motivated by what you think is in the best interest of the town. Although we may disagree on some issues, there's been a lot of unanimous votes, and I think sometimes people forget that. So it has truly been a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to some free time. And I wish the new board all the best, and I thank them for stepping up to the plate, because it doesn't happen unless volunteers step up to the plate. So thank you for your willingness to serve. That's all I have to say on that issue for now. Like I said, we may very well have everybody back when we have in-person meetings. Yes, Trustee Bach.
Well, I would personally like to thank you, Charles, for your work as mayor. I have used you as mentor and have taken copious notes on how you run meetings and your civility and how you treat the public. And hopefully I will be as good a mayor as you have been. Thank you so much for your service, not only on the board, but as mayor.
Thank you very much. It's very, very gracious of you. Anything else? Yes, Trustee Barrett.
Charles, I got voted in the same time you got voted as mayor. I appreciate your being there and leading the town. I thought you did a wonderful job. And Karen, I thought you did as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Trustee Knudsen.
There it is. Charles, I really got to say your attendance record is extraordinary. Missing one meeting in all that time is pretty amazing. And I really do appreciate the structure you brought. And, you know, we didn't always agree on things, but you always handled disagreements with civility. And I look forward to your ability to go jogging and walking and exercising and hunting. So enjoy life.
Absolutely. And I hope that a lot of the good habits that we've gotten into will continue. Thank you. Okay, we will move forward. The next item on the agenda is Trustee Cochrane's resignation from the board. In the packet is Trustee Cochrane's written resignation. She was the only board member, I think, that wasn't up for re-election. So to become mayor, she needs to resign as trustee, and she has done that. I don't think there is anything we really need to do in regard to the resignation, since a formal letter has already been submitted. So we'll move forward, which is now the oath of office for the mayor. And
Sorry, Mayor, can I interrupt for just a moment? Corinne's they had an electric outage at their house, and she's trying to get back on, but we do not have Miss Ferguson at this moment.
we're going to have to wait a little bit, because she is the one that can swear the mayor in. Do we have any other notaries? Mr. Nerlin, are you a notary?
I'm a notary, but I don't have the information.
Right.
I am a notary. I would have to pull up the information, so I could do it. I do think it's good, to the extent possible, if we could hang out for a couple minutes to see if Corinne joins. For nothing else, I just think it's good that we have our town administrator as a participant in our meeting.
Let's do this. She is. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Yes, I did not realize we had lost you. I don't know how further back we lost you, but we are ready to swear now Ms. Cochrane into being mayor. So we're at that particular juncture.
Let me just get myself there really quick. I apologize. I had my power blinked and it kicked me out and took a few minutes for everything to come back on. Yes, thank you. It's okay. 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 Just checking, make sure everybody's still good, and no attendees have hands up. So I think I am ready. Mary, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Do you have your oath of office in front of you?
I do.
Do you have it on the agenda summary form?
I do.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we are repeating the same thing.
Yeah.
So if you will raise your hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Mary Cochran,
Do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Colorado,
and the state of Colorado,
and faithfully perform the duties of mayor
and faithfully perform the duties of mayor
upon which I am about to enter, so help me God.
upon which I am about to enter, so help me God.
Okay.
All right.
Congratulations, Mayor Cochran.
Thank you very much. It is my honor. Okay.
Let's move forward with swearing in the new trustees. My understanding is that we have some trustees that wish to take an oath, some trustees that wish to take an affirmation. Both are legally permissible and have the same consequence legally. So I don't know if we want to go ahead and just have those trustees that wish to take an oath proceed first, and those that wish to affirm proceed after that. Again, Administrator Ferguson, how would you like to do this?
I don't think the order matters. We can lead with the, I did state on the agenda oath or affirmation, so we could start with the oath. First, apologies to Trustee Bear. I didn't reach out and ask based on previous oaths that have been taken. So if you prefer to affirm and not take an oath, if you would, you'll go with the second group. I do apologize for that.
Does it make any difference what I do?
Oh, only to you.
Oh, I'm fine going to the second group.
Okay.
No firm.
Okay. So for the first group, this is the oath of office. If you'll raise your right hand. And I emailed the language. Do you have the language? Did everyone receive the language in an email? Okay. Okay. So I state your name.
I, Tammy Meck,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the state of Colorado,
the state of Colorado,
and the laws of the town of Paonia,
and the laws of the town of Paonia,
and I will faithfully perform the duties of the office
and I will faithfully perform the duties of the office
of a member of the Board of Trustees
as a member of the Board of Trustees
of the town of Paonia,
of the town of Paonia,
to which I have been elected, so help me God.
to which I have been elected, so help me God.
Congratulations, Trustee Mack.
Thank you.
All right. And to the affirmation, if you'll raise your right hand, everyone together. I state your name.
I, Dave Knudsen,
State that I will faithfully support the Constitution of the United States,
state that I will faithfully support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Colorado,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Colorado,
and the laws of the town of Paonia,
and the laws of the town of Paonia,
and I will faithfully perform the duties
and I will faithfully perform the duties
of the office of a member of the Board of Trustees
Of the
office of a member of the
Board of Trustees
of the town of Paonia, to which I have been elected.
to the
of the town of Paonia, to which I have been elected.
Congratulations and welcome to the board.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Mick.
I will now turn this meeting over to Mayor Cochrane, and I will wish you all the best of luck and thank you all for being willing to serve. And so, unless there is some other need of my service, I shall leave the meeting.
Thank you so much,
Thank you, Charles.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Talk
Charles.
to you
You
tomorrow.
folks take care.
Thank you, Charles.
Talk to you all later.
We'll see you
Bye-bye.
around town.
Thanks, Charles.
Thank you.
Okay, on to the next order of business, and that is trustee seat vacancy and possible appointment. So we have a couple of options as far as this goes. We can appoint from the election results, taking the next highest person in the results and appointing them. We can ask for letters of interest from the public and then choose from those letters. And Corinne, I've forgotten what the third one was.
So it set a special election, request letters, or make an appointment based on election result outcome.
Okay, and so set an election. Well, since we just had an election, I think it's kind of silly to set a new election. And since the people who wanted to be on the board obviously ran for the board, I suggest that we go ahead and appoint the next highest person in the poll results, which would be Karen Budinger, Mr. Knudsen. Unmute, Dave. Dave.
I'd like to make a motion that we appoint the next vote getter in our election that was most recently held, provided that she learns to use her mute button, which she's already proven.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second to appoint the next highest vote getter, which would be Karen Budinger. All roll call vote, please.
Trustee Bear?
Aye.
Trustee Johnson?
Aye.
Trustee Knudsen?
Aye.
Trustee Mack?
Aye.
Trustee Pattison?
Aye.
Okay, we have unanimous approval of that. So Ms. Ferguson, would you like to administer the oath of office to Ms. Budinger?
And oh, shoot, hold on just a minute. I threw it down. Not planning ahead.
Congratulations, Karen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just one moment and I'll grab that. Karen, do you prefer an oath or an affirmation?
An oath.
All right. All right, I have that and I am ready. If you would raise your right hand. And you don't have the language, so I never know when is the
After you.
I never know when the right time is to pause, so I'll take it slow.
Okay.
I state your name.
I, Karen Budinger,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
the state of Colorado,
state of Colorado,
and the laws of the town of Paonia,
and the laws of the town of Paonia,
and I will faithfully perform
and I will faithfully perform
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of a member of the Board of Trustees
of a member of the Board of Trustees
of the town of Paonia,
of the town of Paonia,
to which I have been elected,
to which I have been appointed.
appointed, very good, so help me God.
So help me God.
Okay. All right. Now that we have a full board again, we can
Okay.
move forward. All right. So the next item on the agenda is the appointment of the mayor pro tem. This is a board appointment. However, I would highly recommend that we appoint Bill Bear to that position. Bill has been on the council now for 4 years. He's seen a lot. He comes prepared to the meetings. He knows what's involved, and I think he's the best choice at this point in time. So it's up to the board to make a motion to that effect. Would anyone like to make that motion? Karen, you're muted. Karen, you're muted.
Will you pull
Okay.
back here? As Mayor Pro Tem.
Oh, you want to do the whole thing again? We only got.
Okay. I move that we appoint Bill Bear as Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll second.
Okay. Any comments from the other members of the board? Okay. Any comments from the public?
No,
Oh, I'm sorry, Nick.
I was just wondering if anyone else on the board would like to be Mayor Pro Tem.
I don't
Nobody's
see it.
jumping.
I hear nothing, so I guess that answers that.
Okay. Doesn't look like we have anyone from the public would like to comment, so let's take it to a vote. Amanda? Roll call vote.
Trustee Cochran? Oh, hang on.
We're all learning here.
That's right.
Does Trustee Bear get to vote since he's?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
I'm gonna abstain from the vote.
Okay. Okay. Trustee Budinger?
Aye.
Trustee Knudsen?
Aye.
Trustee Mack?
Aye.
Trustee Pattison?
Aye.
Trustee Johnson?
Aye.
Did I get everybody? Let's see. Johnson, Knutson, Mack, and Pattison. Yes, and Mr.
And
Bear
Budinger.
sustained.
Budinger.
Oh, Budinger. Trustee Budinger?
Aye.
Okay. Now I got them all. It's a unanimous vote.
So congratulations, Bill. You are Mayor Pro Tem.
Everybody.
All right, now the next item on the agenda is additional appointments. I currently sit on several committees, and I would like to step down from several of those committees. And so it is a mayoral appointment to appoint the following position. So we have a vacancy on the tree board. I have spoken with Tammy, and she would very much like to resume being on the tree board. And so I would like to appoint Tammy Mack to the tree board. The next one is a local government designee to the Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Committee. And Dave Knutson has been my second on this since we reinstated this position, and has followed things and has gone ahead and re-upped his education on it. And so I would like to appoint Dave to be the LGD to the COGCC. The next one is Space to Create. And personally, I think I'd like to keep this one, especially since it's in transition and we're not sure what's going to happen with all of this. And so I'm going to keep this one. And then the last one is the Chamber of Commerce. I currently sit on the Chamber of Commerce, but if any member of the board would like to step up to take this, I would be happy to allow you to be the liaison to the chamber. Do we have any takers? I see a big.
I would like to.
Guys. Pardon?
I would like to.
Wonderful, Karen. That would be great. So I will let you be the board liaison to the Chamber of Commerce. I will let them know that that was going to happen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. I appreciate that a lot. Okay, we have all the spots filled. We have everything. We're ready to rock and roll. So let's get forward. Let's move forward with the discussion of budget adjustments due to anticipated. Oh no, I'm sorry. I missed something completely. I forgot our board committee appointments. And so this also is a mayoral appointment. And so for the committees, I have spoken with everybody and gotten your preferences and what you would like to serve on. So Public Works, I would like Bill and Tammy to represent the board on Public Works. Government Affairs and Public Safety, I'd like Michelle and Nick to be part of that committee. And finally, Finance and Personnel, Dave and Karen have been doing a dynamite job. So carry on, guys. Thank you. All right, now we can move forward with budget adjustments. So, Ms. Ferguson, Corinne, would you like to fill us in on what information you have at this point?
Yes, I would state that we had anticipated to have a little bit more information for you this evening. Cindy has prepared some draft documents for each department head, and each department head has those, but we haven't come back together yet to go over those. We are meeting with all the department heads to review budget and immediate priorities, and we'll have complete draft discussions for the next meeting. We did want to take this time, though, to see if there were any suggestions or anything specific that any of the board members would like us to take a close look at when we're going through the budget and the specific departments.
So at this time, Corinne, I'm assuming, I think we had discussed perhaps 10% reduction in revenues. Is that correct?
It's really hard at this point to gauge because, of course, we receive the sales tax information quarterly and it's always in arrears. So from the conversations and things that Cindy and I've been having, and feel free, Cindy, to chime in, we don't anticipate to even see the beginning effect of this for another 2 months. We won't see it until the next quarter reporting. But out of safety's sake and to be conservative, which tends to be the route we always take, Cindy was working the budget with an anticipation of a 10% decrease.
And that works out to be, at least in my back of the notebook calculations, about $55,000, $56,000.
In sales tax, we yearly receive about $180,000.
So about 18,000.
18. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's not so bad.
It feels bad.
Well,
Yeah,
it
that's
does.
1% is 180,000.
Oh, apologies.
So it will be 3 times that.
Right.
So I'm looking at approximately a $60,000 decrease
Okay.
across the entire general fund.
Okay, that's a bigger chunk.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Apologies.
And so I was just in my thoughts, I was thinking the one thing we added in that's a fairly sizable chunk of money that we haven't had before that we might consider letting go this year would be the building and contract labor, our engineer that we're contracting with, unless we absolutely have to have it. That was my big chunk of money. Other suggestions from the board? Ms. Patterson, Michelle?
I did see that some other towns in our region are doing a hiring freeze for now until it's sorted out a little bit more. I don't know if that would have any impact for our staff right now, but it might be something to consider.
Ms. Budinger?
Does this, is this before any reimbursement we get for COVID expenses? I mean, does that, or is that totally separate items?
Karen, we're it'll be very unlikely that we will get any reimbursement.
Okay, so they're not making up lost revenues.
No, and what we've spent isn't probably gonna, it doesn't qualify for,
I think I think the easier thing to say is it's speculative in terms of if there's going to be any state or federal funding for COVID relief. One of the reasons that we do have a declaration of a local disaster in place is so that we can qualify for relief either at the state or federal level. But from what we're seeing at the moment, it doesn't appear that there's any programs. Now, this is always a fluid situation, but I think the best kind of takeaway at this point in time is that state or federal funds would be speculative.
Okay, thank you.
Bill, you had your hand up?
Yes, I wondering when Ms. Jones may have a documents ready to present, and do we need to have a special meeting so we're not waiting 2 additional weeks to react to this?
Cindy?
I'm not really sure how to answer that. I don't think there's going to be any difference in waiting 2 weeks. Right now we're really only doing what we have to do. So I don't think that until we get the numbers in a couple months, we don't have much to work with. But I do want to hear any of your suggestions at areas that you want to particularly focus on, just to help me with creating the documents.
Bill, or Dave, I'm sorry. Dave, where did you go? There he is.
Well, a couple ideas. One is I've noticed on our building inspection report that he's coming up but not doing, when he makes a trip up here, it costs us a lot. And as creative as he could be using contractors to do live, Zoom things with him to inspect that way rather than driving all the way up here and back. Trying to consolidate his inspections because building activity looks to me like it's dropping off in town. And so if there's some savings there, that would be helpful. The other thing is our biggest expense in all the budget is, of course, personnel. So if there are people that want to take leaves of absences without pay, things like that could help ease the staffing things, that might be helpful. So just anything in that area with staffing that could ease the payroll and salary costs would be helpful.
Ms. Bill?
Yeah, just a question for Ms. Jones. Do you just anticipate impacts to the general fund, or are you also looking at impacts to the enterprise funds?
I'm trying to anticipate the impact overall. I do think that the main potential impact is the sales tax, but I do think that we're going to have impacts in all the way across every fund in the end.
Okay, so you don't think you'll have anything ready until the following 2 weeks to take a look at? Is that what I'm assuming?
I think that's true because I still need to meet with the department heads and make sure that I have everything in here that they have to have. And then we don't have very much flexibility anyway. The majority of our expenditures are fixed, utilities, phone, et cetera, et cetera. So we don't have a lot of flexibility except for projects, and we're working on emergency projects or projects that we already have the funding for, like sidewalks. We can go ahead with that. We already have those funds. So that's what I need to review with all the department heads. And with the way this is going and the difficulty to get us all together, I do need the 2 weeks to make sure that I have enough time to get with them and get a good, solid document to you.
Thank you.
Michelle?
So a couple of things. Trustee Knudsen mentioned that personnel is our largest expense. I think it would be helpful when we're reviewing the budget documents, if we could have an org chart to go along with that, and maybe a comparison over the last couple of years, if that's available, just to see where we're at in terms of staffing FTE compared to where we have been in the past. And then I also, since we're still sort of in limbo, I wonder if it would be prudent for the board to put a hold on any discretionary spending until we're able to review and approve a modified budget.
Do you have any other comments, suggestions? I would also like to suggest to the board that we forego our pay. I mean, if we're going to end up asking people to be laid off, I think it's the least we can do to say we don't want our pay either. It's not a huge chunk of change, but it's something. And also the education piece in the budget. I don't know how much of that was designated for Colorado Municipal League convention, and I think that could be cut as well. Yes, Corinne.
So I would add, just just as in the back of your mind as we're going forward, that some things that, of course, that are funded are not necessarily going to be large savings when we're looking at the budget. It will be small things. We had even discussed things like our street project that are for the storm, sewer, and drainage issues we have on Grand at 2nd and 3rd. While those seem like big ticket items, those funds actually are funded through our impact funds that are provided from our water fund and our sewer enterprise fund. Those aren't general funds. So I do just want to remind that some of it's spread across, and so it might not have as significant of an impact, so it definitely will be worth the conversation. And the other item I really want everyone to be thinking about over the next couple of weeks is that if we start to talk about layoffs or voluntary furloughs and non-pay, that the secondary important piece to talk about are services that are being offered. Because when we start reducing people, we need to reduce services. And remember that the primary employees that are paid through the general fund, only through the general fund, are only our police department. So I just want to make sure that we keep those things in the back of our mind as well.
Do we have any more discussion from the board? Yes, Michelle.
Yeah, I'd like to make a formal motion that we freeze discretionary spending until we're able to review the revised budget.
Okay, I have a question on that. What would you define as discretionary spending?
Thank you.
Honestly, I don't know. I'm just trying to, while we're in limbo, to find ways to keep things under control. Maybe we could reduce the level of spending that requires board approval from where it is now.
I don't know. Bo, do you have an opinion about that?
Well, I mean, I think that we have some mandatory line items that, keep the doors open and keep the staff employed. And then we have some ongoing expenses. I really do feel like while there could be direction, maybe there needs to be a specific workshop where there can be, rather than a kind of a line item suggestion, a complete review of the budget so that we could try to develop a more comprehensive strategy.
Do you want to?
That makes more sense. I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay.
But I would go back to Trustee Bear's comment that we might need a special meeting to do a full budget review rather than trying to just accomplish this at our next regular meeting.
Okay. Do you want to set a special meeting, or do you want to wait until we get what we can from Cindy and then set a special meeting? What do you think, Corinne?
I was just going to add that I anticipate and hope that for the majority of us that we will be, with appropriate mechanisms in place and distancing in place, that we will be able to resume our in-person meetings at the next meeting. And I do think that it would be better facilitated as well if we could be in person. And I don't want to, while I can assure you that, and I will have the conversation as well with the other department heads, that to be fine-tooth combing any purchases that are made and anything of any any larger numbers that we if we're able to have a conversation about it before it happens. I don't want to try to rush and put things in place that we then have to come back together and undo. But I do see it being a bigger conversation than a regular meeting where we're trying to take action and do regular business. So I would think that it may be feasible to have a work session prior to the meeting so that it's an opportunity to freely conversate and hash out ideas back and forth, a little bit less formal than a special meeting.
Do we need to have a motion to set that up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Someone like to make that motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor, is that what we're going to call you?
Call me Mary.
Mayor Mary.
I'll make a motion that we set a work session prior to the next regularly scheduled meeting for discussion on the budget amendments that we need to make.
Okay, would you like to set that at 5:30?
Well, I'd like to set it at 5, but I think that could be moved to 5:30, But if we set it at 5 and we need the time, we don't have to take any more action. If not, we can always postpone a little bit.
Okay, do we have a second on that?
Oh,
sorry, Bo.
So you're looking at May 12th
Mhm. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. This is not sequential, but I was going to add at the end a request for an executive session, not this evening, but for a special meeting to discuss the town's litigation with Mr. Pace and bring the Board of Trustees up to speed. So if there is a special meeting that would tie in nicely, I think we can wait till the 12th if not. So.
All right. So do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion. Dave, you had your hand up for something.
Well, I like the idea of at least going and becoming familiar for all of us, refamiliarizing us with the budget and what our priorities were when we passed it last. And I think that prepares us better, even if we don't have specific recommendations. And then Michelle's idea about getting a little better handle on disbursements before they go out. A lot of what we're doing in the Finance Committee is approving things as they come in and they've already been done. So we might want to look at that too. Thanks.
All right.
You do have a hand up?
Yes. I was going to see if any other board members would like to comment before we go to the public. Not seeing anybody. Okay, Ms. Watson, you're on.
Hi. So I wanted to speak to a few of the comments that the trustees said. Things kind of have morphed beyond. We've kind of passed a few things, but about the staffing. And Mr. Knudsen mentioned the building inspector. I'd like to point out it's a service that's kind of overpriced for this town, in my opinion. And now that the COVID thing has hit, I mean, the town feels that it's expensive for the town, but it's also very expensive for the people, these outrageous fees that are being charged. And, you know, there are people who have lost their jobs now. There are people who are, you know, temporarily out of work. And financially, the whole town is suffering. It's not just town hall. And I really think we need to look at the type of service we're hiring here. This $120 an hour is pretty rich for Paonia. Another thing is the school resource officer and the police department. Well, the schools are all out now. I know our resource officer has been out for a while, but I don't know. You know, the schools might not be back until next fall. So do we really need the officer load? We also won't be having the festivals, you know, so all the crowd control, the fancy vehicle we got for that, those are probably going to be unused for the summer. So, you know, I don't think you will need as much manpower. Also, pro-COVID, you know, COVID, we are ramping up to reopen things, but COVID could hit us again. You know, there could be a resurgence until there's a vaccine, and I think we have to be very cautious about that. One other question I have is, you know, we have this huge administrative staff. We've had positions added, and town hall has been shut. And then once we start the distancing and only letting one person in at a time, is the activity in town hall really going to be as busy as it has been in the past with this depressed economy and perhaps a recession or depression? Also, if employees, I don't know if you want to ask employees to voluntarily be laid off because they might not be able to get COVID relief funds from the federal government. And if they're laid off by the town, it might speak better for them with unemployment, but I don't know the mechanics of that. I'm just bringing it up as something to investigate. But, you know, we're looking toward a new future here. And I think the town is struggling, but people in this town are struggling too. And we have to acknowledge that. I don't think things are going to be as going on as lively as normal for a while here. And I think the workload might be a little bit less. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. All right, any other comments? Yes, Corinne.
Yes, I would add that, again, I don't disagree that everyone is absolutely feeling the effects of the pandemic. Just to address some of those concerns, I will state, first of all, that our school resource officer was is an officer that works for the town that was taken off of patrol because the chief of police in the town felt it was really important to have a resource officer in the schools. That officer also, for other reasons, has not been receiving a paycheck and has not been on duty for quite a little while now. So that relief as far as her income is already there. And while I understand that we have to look really hard and long at these, I do want to add from the staff level, things have not lightened up. If anything, it's more difficult and more time consuming to function from a place of shut doors and limited contact because of the extra steps that we have to put into place to do something as simple as answer a simple question, where before it was just a quick in and out and it was an answer, and now it's telephone calls and emails and return calls, and we still have people coming to town hall and scheduling time, calling in, letting them in, having to put the safety mechanisms in place before we can let them in the door. So it hasn't released or relieved our level of work or the work product that we're doing. And I don't foresee it doing that. And I can, again, I don't ever like to speak on behalf of the police chief, but we do see the blotters. And if anything, people being sequestered and locked in their houses increases crime and activity that involves police department, not decreases it. And that's all I'll say.
Okay. All right, yes. Dave.
You know, Ms. Mayor, if our meetings are going to last till 8 o'clock like they did tonight, we're all missing the howl right now.
Well, we can howl together now if you so desire, however. Okay, I don't think we have any motions or anything. Oh, yes, we do. We have a motion and a second to set a special meeting for 5 o'clock on the 12th. Roll call, please.
Trustee Bear?
Aye.
Trustee Johnson?
Aye.
Trustee Knutson?
Aye.
Trustee Mack?
Aye.
Trustee Pattison?
Aye.
Trustee Bettinger?
No.
Aye.
Okay, so motion carries. We will meet 5 o'clock in 2 weeks to discuss this. Okay, next item on the agenda is declaration of a local disaster extension. Our local disaster declaration is due to expire in a few days, and so in conjunction with Corinne and Bo, we have decided that it would probably be better to extend it for another month, in that things could still happen, we could still need to have it in place, and that the benefits we might be able to reap from having that extension would be helpful. Do you have anything to add to that, Corinne?
The only thing that I would add is that the extension goes specifically until the 9th day of June, which is the first meeting in June, so that we are covering the entire month of May. And again, yes, it is necessary that we maintain that designation while we still have any expenditures or potential for expenditure that are pandemic related.
Anything you'd like to add to that, Bo?
I would just like to add that the extension of the local disaster declaration in no way affects the town's ability to incorporate some of the safe at home provisions in the governor's order. So, you know, to the extent that we can start look at incorporating more office hours for town hall, in-person meetings of that nature, and that this extension doesn't keep town hall closed, nor does it keep us in a virtual meeting capacity.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think we need a motion.
Motion to extend the disaster declaration regarding the COVID pandemic until June the 9th.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion, more discussion from the board? Okay, not seeing anything from the public. Not seeing anything. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Bear,
Aye.
Trustee Johnson,
Aye.
Trustee Knudsen,
Aye.
Trustee Mick,
Aye.
Trustee Pattison,
Aye.
Trustee Bettinger,
One more time, Karen, with unmute.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, that motion carries. All right, the next item on the agenda is request for letters of interest on the planning committee. I'm just going to put it out there. I don't think we need a formal motion or anything for this. No, okay. So if anyone in the public is interested in serving on the planning commission, we would really appreciate a letter. 30 days, Corinne? I think that was a yes. Okay. So that the letters would be due, let's say, on May 29th. And then lastly on the agenda is the personnel liaison group. We're also requesting letters of interest from the community. I think there was one person who did express interest, but we have not received any kind of formal notification as far as that goes. So again, if anyone in the community wants to serve on the personnel liaison group, please send a letter to the town requesting that. And again, we'll make that for a month. So May 29th, again, is the deadline for that. Okay. Any other discussion, thoughts, dreams, hopes, desires?
You do have an attendee hand up.
Okay. Suzanne, you're up.
Hi, this is Suzanne. So is the zoning board of adjustment fully staffed right now? I don't know when the terms are, if they're staggered and when they are all ending either. And how many planning commission seats are open?
I believe it's one. Corinne, can you confirm that?
I can't confirm at the moment. I didn't bring that data home with me.
Okay.
Okay, and then the zoning board of adjustment, I don't know if, I mean, I haven't looked. I don't know who's on it. I can't find it on the website right now.
I'll have to check their terms as well.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. All right. Anything else from anybody? Hearing none, can we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Roll call vote one more time.
Trustee Baccarin.
No.
Oh, sorry. Trustee Bear,
Aye.
Trustee Johnson,
Aye.
Trustee Knudsen,
Aye.
Trustee Mick,
Aye.
Trustee Pattison,
Aye.
Trustee Bettinger.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. I so appreciate you for being here. I think we're going to be great together. I look forward to seeing you all in person. Hopefully in 2 weeks, we can sit down in the same room. That would be absolutely wonderful.
Good job on your first meeting.
Oh, thank you, Bill. If I screw up, just let me know, okay?
I agree. Thank you guys so much. I know this is definitely difficult and not under the normal circumstances, but I too look forward to a little normalcy at the next meeting. So, all right. Thank you.
I echo that. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Night.
Glad to have you guys on board.
Thanks, Bo.